as I mentioned before, I was going to do a screen recording of the track Beyond, so here it is. Hey there, hope all is well. I hope everyone's having a good time and enjoying the weather. No one can complain this time around. Anyway, so as I mentioned before, I was going to do a screen recording of the track Beyond, so here it is. Just want to see how this comes out, and this is where I did a mix. So originally this track started in, as I mentioned before, in Ableton Live. And the thing is, I use Ableton Live as a scratch pad. You can see what's going on. I can knock up ideas quickly, and sometimes I shift from there into something else. This one stayed in there. I did the arrangement, did the mix, and here we are. So let's jump into the track quickly, just so everyone can hear it. What I'll do is, I'm not going to play. Let's go to the key parts of it just to show. Let's take it a little bit. Let's go here. Right, so this track's already out. I'll put all the links in the description and stuff like that. But what I want to show you is just the process and what I use. Now, this track, compared to one I did recently, there weren't many tracks, and it was a track that I built up of samples, loops, that kind of stuff. It didn't take too long. I had a certain feel I was going for, so Afro Tech. As you can see here, I haven't used many effects. The reason is, when I started in Ableton, a lot of the effects were in there. And no, I wouldn't say they were in there. I applied the effects while in Ableton, and those effects were things that I knew I wanted as part of the track. So what I did, recorded it, then bounced out the stems into Pro Tools. So what that enabled me to do is just to use EQ and some compression. So if I isolate a couple of tracks, there's a knocking sound there, it's just got EQ on it. EQ is, I've dropped off all the bass, so 100 hertz below, dropped it out, peaked it up at about 1K, and lifted some of the higher end frequencies. That's it on that one. One is sort of like not sure how to describe this sound. I can't remember what I named it either. A percussion-y sort of sound. And just done a few peaks on there, dropped off the lower ends because it's not there and it's not required. So from 50 hertz onwards, dropped it down on that one. This sound is similar sound. Yeah, I think on this one, what I've done, I've just duplicated the track and added effects to this one. Should have panned it the other way actually, but I think I've got something else panned to the right, and that's why I did that. So this one's just got, yeah, similar sort of EQ, nothing unusual on there. And I come to a loop which I'd picked up. This was done, I mean, as I said, even though I've got drum machines all over the place and stuff, most of it was done in the box. I picked up a few samples off my S2400 and also just done some tweaks off the off the push. But as you can see on EQ, it's flat, just dropped off the lower end, didn't need to do too much there, but I did compress it, so it's got the CLA 2A compression on it on that one. And what I did, I duplicated the track and took off the high end, EQ'd it out, and just lifted probably about 75 hertz on that, and then added a solid state Logic compressor on that, and just give it a nice sort of warm sound to it, sort of fat sound to it, and that was it. Yeah, warm sound. Then I have got some sounds I've taken from like techno, but what I'd done, I heard a sound that I liked, then just applied in Ableton some delays to it, and then on the EQ just boosted it around just under 500 hertz and compressed it as well, so added some compression. In this case I used a CLA 76. It's not as aggressive as the CLA 2A, and it's done the job on that one. There are a few tracks on here which haven't been picked up on this part of the mix. Another techno sounds, just done an EQ on it, took off the low end from around 50 hertz and just boosted it just a touch around probably about 800, and that's it on that one. Next track I've got here is another techno sound, did exactly the same, just a little boost around 800 or so, 800 hertz. This sound is the vocal, pushed it up a little bit so it was around the 1K mark. Took off the bass, took off from about 50 hertz, just dropped that off, tailed it off, and from about 5K upwards tailed that off as well. And effects were added in Ableton, and that's it. So yeah, that's pretty much the core of the track. There are a few other elements. Let's see if I can just jump around and pick them up. Let's see if they come up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then it was really about just a little play on the levels. Tell you what I'll do is, this way it goes deep, that's just the mix. And when I'm doing mixing, I tend to think of the DJ, when DJs are playing and they're going into the mix, I have kind of incorporated that live mix feel in this track. So at a certain point you're just going to go in and take out the frequencies, take out the top end, take out the mid, just go deep into the low end. And I've done a bit of that on this track. Gonna just jump over to Ableton so you can see how this track was built up. So you can see I've done it in layers. I've got two intros, verse 1, verse 1B, rise 2. I've got the various names on here, bring it, then the drop. So that's the bit I was talking about just now. And then it goes back into verse 1, it's essentially verse 2, verse 2B, rise, bring it in, it's lifting that track up, and then drop it down, go down, take off all the high frequencies, and then go back to sort of like when I'm finishing a track, especially a house track, and I kind of go back to what was in the beginning, which is sort of like that, how the track started, stripping it back down again to next to nothing. So you can hear all the components being built up. And there's many ways. I mean, I have done it where I've mixed the track live from Ableton, and that's the good thing about Ableton. I mean, you can record all the bits in here, as you can see, slightly faded out, or if you want, you can lay out your track, go on to the push, and just do a straight stereo mix straight from this. If you've got all your EQ and everything set up and all your effects already done, you can just do a live mix. One of my early tracks, I did that. One of the early Carbon Deep releases, I just mixed it straight from here, and that was it. I had stereo stem, got it mastered, and that was it, job done. So it's just that I think in Pro Tools I wanted to just do a little bit more editing, that kind of stuff, and that was it really. But yeah, you can see, I've got a ton of, oh yeah, let's stretch this out a little so you can see the tracks, what were involved in that. Let's just jump it on one more. All the stages of the track, giving away my secrets here, but I'm sure everyone else does this, just different stages. What I do, it's a bit like it's the same method, or a very, very similar method I used to use in the MPC. And when you're building up all your elements at MPC, you can just lay them out. I do the same thing in Ableton. Just it's that process, it's that way you work. You just got a way of working, you do it, and that's it. So let's go into the drop, see what happens there. Yeah, that takes it down. Last bit here, back to intro. So you're stripping it down again, bringing it back to the raw drum. So someone's mixing the track, just making it easier for them to mix into the next track. Just they've got the drums to work with and just a few elements, and then it gives them the opportunity to do a nice mix and being able to transition to their next track. So just making a little life easier for the DJ when they're mixing, when you just bring it back down to basics for a little bit towards at the end of the track. So it gives them a little hand when they want to mix, and that's it. Yeah, you could leave it complicated, but you're just making life straightforward for them, and that's it. So yeah, that was it. Just a quick overview of how I'll build up a track. It doesn't stay the same all the time. I mean, there are times when I start off in Logic. Depends on. I might hear a sound and go, okay, where would that fit? What kind of sound is it? Is it very musical? Then I might just dump it into Ableton, or it might be something I go, okay, I want to start off in live. Not live, sorry, in Logic. I'll go into Logic and just start it out in there. Or if I'm giving vocals, I'll probably drop it in Logic first and have a listen to it, add a few sounds, and I might even start the project from there. But wherever I start, I generally drop in parts that I need and build up and use that as the sound bed for building up the track. And then that's it. And then all the elements I'll probably export out into something else to do a mix, and then take it from there. And that's it. But so yeah, I mean, recently I've been starting in Ableton just to get the ideas down quickly, but it doesn't always work that way. Might start on my toys. Might start on a actually recently, I mean, a lot of stuff I've been starting on the S2400, and that's been my just to get that gritty sound, that 12-bit sound. So yeah, some stuff has started there, and that's it. So everyone's different. This is my process. It works for me, and that's it. Plus I've got Ableton Push here in the studio. I've got one at home as well, so it just makes it easier just to before I was dragging one around everywhere, and I just found, okay, it might be worth just getting another one. That's the only piece of equipment I've got two of. Everything else is like, no, one is enough. Okay, everyone, that's it. That's my process. Nothing more to it. Some areas do get complicated. I'll do a breakdown on another track. I mean, this one's quite straightforward. There's not many tracks on here, realistically. I did one for a colleague, Philip White. I have done a light video on it, but that one had, I think in Pro Tools, I had about 60 tracks running, and most of them were vocals. So, I mean, it was a gospel track, so you had layers and layers of harmonies and stuff, and yeah, it was good fun doing that. So there you go. All right, that was my breakdown of Beyond, Carbon Deep project. I'll put a link down in the description somewhere, and yeah, all yours. You can pick it up, have a listen. I'll be doing a few more features like this, so watch out for them. Okay, speak soon. Look after yourselves. Out.